All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for attending our talk on selecting marketplace apps. We have brought in a speaker for you, Sean Midkiff. He is one of the Jira admins here at Ally, and he's going to talk about the things that you need to look for and some of the pitfalls that you might run into when you're selecting marketplace apps.
Well, I muted Sean because there was some echo, and now I can't unmute him. So I think, Sean, you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry. um, are you still getting an echo or
I think it's
let
me.
me?
I'll turn off my audio.
So hey, I'm Sean Midkiff. So I've been an Atlassian admin for about 9 years across multiple different platforms: Jira, Confluence, Jira Align, you name it. I've probably touched it or worked on it. So what I'm going to present is really just kind of things that I've learned over the years, administering these applications and of course dealing with marketplace apps. So let me share my screen here. Give me just a moment. All right, let's see. New to share. So unfortunately, when I am sharing, I don't see anything posted in chat. So feel free to kind of chime in or stop me if there's any kind of problems, because I may not see it posted in chat. So I guess we'll kind of jump into it. So first, of course, we're going to talk about why it matters to be careful, about what you're selecting, your processes behind what you do. So there are over 2,047 active partners in the marketplace and over 6,212 apps. What I found kind of interesting was only 1,106 of those have either one install or no install, which is actually, that's quite a bit. You never know what you might find. So always, kind of keep a lookout, and just see what's out there. So kind of the good, the bad, the ugly. So obviously, as most of us know, when it comes to marketplace apps, the good thing is we can extend functionality like, script runner to be able to create, calculated fields, um, add like test management capabilities with like Zephyr or X-Ray, or, maybe even doing things with our data, like exporting to maybe a SQL server that you might need. And, there's a SQL connector for that. So those are things that are not native, but we can add on with marketplace apps. But of course, the bad would be doing things, that are maybe untested or, maybe lead to UI clutter, performance issues, compliance issues. As an example, Easy BI, for example, will show things in the UI that a user may not be aware of. So they might do something that, they don't know might have an impact elsewhere. Or one that's just adding all these different, navigational things or might have performance impacts to your site, especially for data center that can be, pretty detrimental. And of course, the ugly, which would be things like, you've not looked into it. You might have data loss, or you might be introducing like security risk into your environment. As an example, we had an app that we didn't do our due diligence on. And during an upgrade, it ended up causing our index to be completely wiped out. So we're talking, several hours to restore things back to a functional manner. I think I was up till like 3 or 4 that morning trying to get things back up and running. So obviously you want to be careful about what you're introducing into your environments. So that's the thing, is install with intention. Make sure you're installing things that are going to have good use, that you can trust. It's very important to do that. So, where do you start? And this is where, I'm going to talk about kind of things that I've learned just kind of over the course of years dealing with, different teams and of course processes and all of that. So kind of what I recommend is kind of document your current partners that you work with. So I have a list of any partners I have a relationship with. I have information about, how I can get support, where they're located at. Even things like if I've had a good interaction or bad interaction with them. Obviously, if you've got Confluence, it's a perfect use of Confluence. Create yourself a space, list all your partners, all the support information, and then create an app and product list. So list all of your installed apps, even ones that maybe you've previously installed. It's also kind of a good idea to even maybe mention why it was uninstalled. Maybe it was lack of usage, maybe you ran into an issue. But that way, if you're having further conversations with people, you can actually say, yeah, we actually had this. This is why we no longer have it. So it's always a good thing to kind of keep a list of that. I would also say, include your SCN numbers, your renewal dates. These things can come in handy when you start talking about adding something new or switching something out. And then even a list of your owners. Depending on your organization size, you guys might have multiple admins, multiple people working on these things, multiple business units. So if that applies, having a list of those owners can really help you know exactly where to go and who to contact about what. And then document all those, all that information in your Confluence space. Add current capabilities, again, depending on what's going on. You could say this plugin is specific for this use case or this reason. This is why we're using it. So those kind of things can kind of help come up during like governance meetings, things like that, or to justify why you guys have it. So the next thing is kind of governance around this. So, again, if you're kind of a new admin, you may not really have anything. If you're more senior or larger instances, you probably do. But, make an intake process for this part of your, standard support request. Add fields, if you're using Jira Service Management, maybe an issue collector or a form, have fields in there of information that you might need, that you might require. Don't just let users submit an app install from the UI, because that tends to create a lot of noise for an admin. There's really no structure behind it. You're not really capturing the information you need. So if you have Jira Service Management, that's a great way to establish those kind of processes. If not, you can use an issue collector or a form. And then, of course, if you want to get really advanced with it, you can even take that form and or issue collector, maybe have it along with your documentation in Confluence. If you can do HTML in your instance, you can even have that pop up and make it just real easy for your end users. So next thing would be, have a team and a cadence behind this too. Especially when, larger instances, you're going to have a lot of different people coming at you. There's a lot of apps out there that we've seen. So, have a team of people that you can talk with these things about these changes. Have a team of reviewers, people who are going to test these things. Have obviously your Jira admins should be part of this, but have people from like different business units, maybe some of your power users. Discuss the, different use cases, discuss these potential impacts that introducing this app might have in your environment. Especially when it comes to, your power users, they're typically going to be able to tell you, you might run into this issue from what I've seen, or, this actually sounds great. It's something I've heard a lot of. And then, of course, establish a cadence to go over those kind of requests. Maybe it's monthly if you're getting that many. Maybe it's only quarterly. Maybe it's, yearly. Just depends on how many you're getting. Personally, at first, with kind of our governance team, we called it the Jira Council. We were meeting biweekly, just to kind of get through a backlog of things, and then we kind of extended it out to monthly. And now it's more just ad hoc as we need it. We all get together, we talk about these things, and make our decisions. And then another important thing is talk about and agree on sunset criteria for your installed apps. When is it no longer needed? When is it no longer necessary? And document that. That way, as an admin, you see all this, stuff being used and coming across. You might eventually say, I don't think we need to pay for this any longer. So have that criteria ready so you can talk about it in your governance meetings. And then the next thing, of course, is define the need. What's the actual problem that this app is, going to solve? What kind of issue is the team having? What kind of value does this bring? Is this something short term? Is it long term? Is it going to be needed, for forever and ever, or is it just like a week or two? So sometimes you can help kind of uncover, maybe we need to split you out into your own site, or maybe let's look at this, tackling this problem a different way. So really it's uncovering that real reason. And then who will own and support this app? So, of course, if you're in a smaller instance, that might strictly be in Jira admin. If you're in larger enterprise instances, you might have, multiple teams who need to support it. So who's going to support that app for an end user? Who's going to be the decision maker for this app? So these are kind of things that you need to really know and have established before you start really digging into some marketplace apps. So the next thing is, now what do we consider? Let's look at things to look for and remember when digging into marketplace apps, because obviously there's a lot behind this, right? So one thing, a lot of this comes from things I've learned just over the years. I've been burned before by bad apps. So the first thing is, do your research. Read the reviews on the apps. You're typically only going to see negative things, but sometimes, just like when you're looking on Amazon for a product, you might see that certain review with a very common theme. So you might kind of catch on, the support's lacking here, or maybe it's something else. So review other apps as well, because you again might see very common themes between each of their apps. Typically it would be something for support, maybe it's lack of updates. And then, of course, check for the available support from the partner. It can be found on the support tab in the marketplace listing. It will tell you, one, if it's even a supported app, if it's unsupported, and the level of support they provide. And honestly, even review the app updates. What's the number of updates? When was the last release version that they had? This can kind of give you really good insight into, how often is the partner updating this app? If it's not often, maybe you should look for an alternative just to, avoid introducing risk into your environments. Or maybe it's something that they're really on top of it and they have a lot of updates and they're releasing a lot of features. So, you might be more apt to select that one instead. Now, one thing to mention is, of course, there are the marketplace partner program levels. So typically you will see these on the marketplace listing. So you have your platinum, gold, and silver. So there are some differences between these. So a platinum, essentially they meet the bug bounty for all their paid cloud apps. They typically respond to support requests within 24 hours. They have SOC Type 2 certifications, for example. And then they also maintain a third-party validated trust center. And that's something I, of course, work with Atlassian on. So they get that platinum level because of that extra work that they put into their app.